going to talk about today. And we know that a solid is a three-dimensional shape. Does anybody know what 3D means? What does three-dimensional mean to you, Caleb?
It
Pops out at you, okay? When you're at the movies, the movie itself pops out like you can actually what? Touch it, okay? So I'm going to draw a square right here. Draw a square. And this shape right here is not popping out at you, is it? This shape is a 2D shape. Go ahead and draw it. It only has 2 dimensions. Now we're going to draw another square, and I'm going to show you how to draw a 3-dimensional square. Draw a square. Draw a square. Put a dot in the middle of it. Put a dot in the middle of it, the very center. Okay. And then draw another square. Watch how I do this. Now, watch what I do. I'm going to connect the back 2 corners and the bottom 2 corners. And I have a 3-dimensional shape. Okay? Okay, so this is a 3-dimensional shape, and the reason it is 3-dimensional is because it has 3 dimensions. Our 2 dimensions are length and width. And here we have length, width, and it pops out at you. So we have height, like you can actually touch it. Okay? So we have 3 dimensions here. Length, width, and height, which makes it 3D. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about today is all kinds of 3-dimensional shapes. We want to look at the shape, though, in the parts of it. Now, you've already talked about some of these words, but let's go ahead and write them down, and then we will look at what they mean. We have faces, vertices, and edges that we want to talk about. And then over here, I'm going to draw a big, I'm going to draw a different one. I want you to see if you can draw this. A triangle. Okay, then I want to take this point and go up. Kind of looks crazy, huh?
Oh my God. Kind of looks like on top of a tent.
It does kind of look like the top of a tent, doesn't it? Okay. I'll show you the actual object I just drew or attempted to draw. Okay, so I have a 3-dimensional shape here. I've tried to draw it 3D, and I have different things that I need to look at here. The first one I want to look at is the face of this object that I drew. Okay, now the face of it, I want you to underline your F 3 times, and I want you to say it like this. Face. The faces are the flat surfaces. Okay, they're the flat sides. Okay, so if I'm holding this shape, and you don't have one in your hand like I do, but I want you to pretend like you do. So hold it in your hand. Let me see it. Don't drop it. Hold it in your hand. Okay, and I want you to feel with me and pretend like you're holding it. Feel the bottom. Is that a flat surface? 1. Okay, feel the side. 2. The other side. 3. And the other side. 4. How many flat surfaces are there? 4. There are 4 faces. And if I always say it faces, I will remember it is the flat sides. Okay? Let's look at our cube up here. This is our cube right here. How many faces would our cube have? You ready? Hold it with me. Hold it in your hand. Bottom, 1, top, 2, front, 3, back, 4, side, 5, other side, 6. How many faces? 6. I want to write 6F. What does F stand for? 6 faces. Good. Okay, let's go back down to this 3-dimensional shape right here. And let's look at vertices. Who can tell me what the word vertices means? Rudy? Not the edges. What are they, though? The points. Okay, the points, like what you said. That's next. Okay, the vertices. If you will make your V big and put a point where your V touches, vertices are really easy when your shapes are drawn for you because you can circle them. Okay, so with your pencil, let's circle where the points are. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many vertices are there? 4. Let's go back up to our cube and see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How many vertices? 8. 8 V. Okay. Now, the last one that I want to look at are edges. And Axel says, we've done this on our blue color math, and you tell me paper cuts. If I said, now don't do this because it'll hurt you, but if I said, run your finger along the edge of your paper, show me where you would do it. Don't do it because it'll cut you. Show me where you would do it though. Right along the edge. Okay, and what's it going to do to your fingers? It's going to cut them. So if I have this shape right here, where would I cut myself at? Come show me where, Rudy. Where would I cut myself at? On the edge. Okay, it's sharp. Now these are made of plastic, so they're not going to cut me. Okay, now this one I like to use a highlighter for because I can trace over them. Okay, so let's trace over all of our edges here. Ready? Watch me do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many edges? 6 edges. Let's go up to our cube and see how many we have. How many have already got highlighted here? 1, 2, 3. Let's keep going. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, I may have missed one. Let's count it. Oh, here's one right here. 12. There we go. How many edges are on a cube? 12 edges. 12E. Okay? So now you know a little bit about these shapes, the parts of them. Okay? If I have points, what do I call them? Vertices. If I have paper cuts right here, ouch, what do I call them? Edges. And the flat sides are called faces. Good. Okay, now let's talk about how to name these things, because I have different shapes up here in my box and I need to be able to name them. Okay? You learned these in 3rd grade? Good. Okay, I want to tell you there are 2 different basic names to these shapes. Okay? There are we'll say 3. There are your, let's say original. Go ahead and write original. These are shapes that you learn in pre-K, kinder, first. Shapes that have special names that pretty much most first graders know. Okay? Looks like a dice. What's this special name for this called? Cube. Okay, we're going to try to draw it. Remember, we know how to draw a cube, draw a square. This is a cube. It has a special name. Okay. What about one that looks like a ball? Sphere. Sphere. Okay, I'm going to draw a circle, and to make it look 3D, I'm going to kind of do this. Okay. Sphere. That is one we already know. We should know that from the younger grades. So I have a cube, a sphere. What about this one? It looks like a can of chicken noodle soup. Cylinder. Good. And the last original of our shapes, the original 3Ds, looks like the bottom of an ice cream cone. This is a cone. Okay, these ones I really don't spend much time on because you know them. You've been exposed to them for the last 5 years. Okay? Okay, so those are our basic ones, our original ones. Now we're going to go on down to the two new ones that we're going to learn in 4th grade. Okay, the two new ones. Okay, in 4th grade we learned two new types of shapes, of three-dimensional shapes. And they're either called prisms or pyramids. We're going to talk about both of these. And they're really hard to draw, so I'm going to try, but I'm not going to ask you to, really. Okay? Prisms and pyramids. Okay, we're going to start with the easy ones. Pyramids. Okay? Pyramids are our easy ones. The one thing that tells you if an object is a pyramid is if it's not one of these, it's not our basic shapes, not of our originals, but if it comes to a point on top, it is a pyramid. Okay, it comes to a point on top. We drew one, didn't we? The very first, whenever I said draw this shape, that was a pyramid. I said make sure it comes to a point on top. Okay, so when you hear the word pyramid, I want you to always remember point on top. Okay, do this with your hands. Make the symbol for timeout if you're a coach. Have you ever seen that coach do that? Timeout. Okay, do you feel your finger pointing at the middle of your hand? That is what it will feel like if you touch the top of a pyramid. There's a point, isn't there? Okay? The Egyptian pyramids, there is a what on the top? Point. Okay, they are pyramids. Now, to name this pyramid, because this pyramid and the one we drew earlier look a little different, don't they? To name them, where do I look, Casey? On the bottom, the base. The bottom of something is called its base. Okay, so this one right here is called a triangular pyramid, and this one is called a square pyramid. Okay, if I have a square, just watch, do not draw. If I have a square at the top, at the bottom, it's a square pyramid. If I have a triangle at the bottom, it's a triangular pyramid. What if I have a pentagon at the bottom? A pentagon. What would I call it? Pentagonal pyramid. What if I have an octagon at the bottom? Octagonal pyramid. As long as it has what? A point on the top. It's not a cone because it has a special name. A point on top has straight lines. You look at the base of it to name it. You say, this is a square pyramid. And the other one is this one is a triangular pyramid. Okay. Okay, now, we don't know anything about a prism yet. Okay, right now we're on pyramids though. Pyramids always come to what? Show me with your fingers. Point on top. Good. Okay, let's go over to prisms. I have a really funny story that I always tell my kids when I'm teaching prisms. And y'all can't tell Reese because now she's at school here and she'll hear me talking about her. One day I walked into our house and we were getting ready for church. And I walk in to the kitchen actually. And Reese she's decided she wants to wear what she calls this one princess dress to church. So she has on this princess dress. And she is sitting on the counter eating a stick of butter. Not kidding. And every time I look at what is she wearing? Princess dress. What is she eating? Butter. Every time I think of that, I think of this. A prism. A prism is a shape that has been stretched out. Like what? What's this look like? A stick of butter. Does this look like a stick of butter? If I cut it, okay, it looks like squares, but since not all of them are squares, since this one side is really long, it is a rectangle, okay? So prisms, I want you to write princess. What was she wearing? A princess dress. Princess Reese wearing her princess dress, and she loves, I'm going to put a heart, butter. When you see a stick of butter, whether it's in the shape of a square, maybe it's a really fancy stick of butter in the shape of a, what's this one? Triangle. What about if it's even fancier in the shape of a hexagon? But if it looks like a stick of butter and you can slice it like a stick of butter, what am I going to call it? Princess Reese would love this. What am I going to call it? A prism. Do you hear the resemblance between princess and prism? Okay, so look at all these. Don't they all kind of look like a fancy stick of butter? Doesn't this look like a fancy stick of butter? Now, so if you see something that looks like a long stick of butter, what are you going to call it? A prism. Okay? Now, how do I name this prism? I look at the base, the same as my pyramids. Look at the base. What's this one? Triangle. So this one's going to be called a triangular prism. Okay? I'm going to try to draw it. Not great, though. Okay? Triangular prism. This, you think, oh, that's pretty much a fancy stick of butter. I could slice it up, and it would always be the same shape, wouldn't it? That's a stick of butter. What about this one? Oh, that's going to be hard, isn't it? Oh, that's not right. Wow, look at this one. What is it? That's a fancy stick of butter, isn't it? What do I call it? It's a butter, so I know it's called, who likes butter? Reese. Princess Reese, so I'm going to call it a prism. What kind of prism? Look right here, what's this shape? Hexagon. So I'm going to call it a hexagonal prism. Good. Okay, I'm going to hold up a few shapes and I'm going to see if you can name them for me. And then we're going to look at your book on pages on numbers 8, 9, and 10. And we're going to see if we can count the faces, the edges, the vertices, and then the shapes of the faces. Look at all of these prisms. Remember Princess Reese? She likes sticks of butter. Look at all my prisms. What is always on the sides of our prisms? Flat surfaces. What shape does that make, though? Rectangles. Does this one have rectangles? Does this one have rectangles? Oh, what about this hexagonal? Oh my gosh, prisms always have rectangular edges. Now look at one face, though. Is that a rectangle? That's a hexagon, isn't it? Okay, let's do a little review. Okay, so we have, this is the chart in your book on page 313. And this is 8, 9, and 10, the numbers 8, 9, and 10. So we're going to do this together, okay? Okay, you cannot take these shapes home with you, my three-dimensional shapes. But what you have to do is take them home with you in your head. So I'm not going to hold one. I want you and I both to pretend that we're holding one. Look above on page 312 at your purple strip up there. You have lots of examples, lots of pictures. But what it doesn't show is what's behind that picture. Okay, so you have to think about what's it going to look like in the back also. Okay, the first one on number 8 says rectangular prism. What do you know about a prism? Who can tell me what they know about a prism? What do you know, Rudy? What's it look like? Okay, who in here has seen a stick of butter? Oh, good. So you know exactly what this looks like in your head, right? Okay, hold your stick of butter. Okay, it's rectangular on the side. What about over here on the ends? Squares. But on this one side, it's rectangular. Okay, so hold it in your hand. We want to look at the faces. Tell me what I know about faces. Flat sides. Okay, you ready? Faces. Hold them with me. You ready? Let's do bottom. 1, top, 2, front, 3, back, 4, side, 5, side, 6. How many faces? 6. Okay, go ahead and write that under your F. For faces, there are 6 faces. Let's go to edges. What do I know about edges, Kristen? They'll cut you. Okay, hold your stick of butter. Hold your stick of butter. I'm going to count my edges. Okay, let's go over here to the very right side of our stick first. What did you say this shape was over here on the right? A square. You ready? Put your finger like you're going to cut your finger. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go over here to the left side. 5, 6, 7, 8. Now my 2 squares are connected, aren't they? So I've got 8. Now let's trace over our connectors. 9, 10, 11, 12. How many edges? 12 edges. Okay. Vertices. What's a vertice, Angel? The points. Okay, hold your stick of butter. Where do they come to a point? On the squares, on the ends. Good. You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. The other end. 5, 6, 7, 8. How many edges? How many vertices? 8. Okay, it says shapes of the faces. What did you tell me the 2 ends are shaped like? Squares. So let's put 2 squares. And what about those long connectors? What are they shaped like? They're all rectangles. Remember us looking at all these prisms? Prisms are always rectangles on the connectors. Let me see if I can find an actual rectangular prism in here. Here it is. Look at it. 2 squares. And how many rectangles? 4 rectangles. Okay, very good. Let's go on to cube. Oh my gosh. Who in here has held a dice? So you've held a cube before, haven't you? Okay, a box. Okay, we've looked at a box. Okay, so you can picture a box in your head. Hold it. Okay, hold your box. Okay, what are we going to do first? Faces. You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many faces? 6. Okay, it did. That's okay. Edges. You ready? Let's trace the sides, and then the connectors. I think that's a little bit easier. Okay, ready? Over here I have a square, right? It's a cube. 1, 2, 3, 4. Over here I have another square. 5, 6, 7, 8. Connectors. 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 edges. Vertices. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They are the same, aren't they? What do you know about a rectangular prism and a cube?
They're the same, but one is just stretched out.
This one is not stretched out. It doesn't have any rectangles on there, except for if we think back to our rectangle lesson. What is a rectangle?
It is
4 right angles. So it kind of is, isn't it? They're a lot the same, though. Okay, what are the shapes of the faces, though, of a cube? How many squares? 6 squares. Good. Okay, let's go on to the next one. We're going to have some differences here. Rectangular pyramid. Show me what you know about pyramid. What do you do with your hands? You're like a coach, and what are you calling? Time out. Time out. Okay, you always feel that point on the top. Okay, just like your hands. Pyramid. Okay, so I'm holding something that comes to a point on top. What's the base of it look like? What's the base of it look like?
rectangle.
A rectangle. Okay, so I have a rectangle on bottom, and it goes to the point on the top. Okay, I'm going to see if I can draw this because I really like to see things. I'm going to draw a rectangle. 1, and all of them come to a point. If you like to try to draw things, try to. Some of these are hard to draw, but you can try it. Okay? Now, rectangular pyramid. Let's try its faces. You ready? Faces are the what? Flat sides. You ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. 5 faces. Pyramids are different, aren't they? Edges. Look at the bottom. What's the bottom? A rectangle. How many edges are in just a rectangle? 4. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now my one's going up to my point. 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 edges. What about vertices? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 vertices. Now, what are the shapes of these faces? Well, what's the base? That's my easy one. Rectangle. It's called a rectangular pyramid. So one rectangle. What about this? What's this shape right here? Triangle. What about this side? What's its shape going to be? Triangle, triangle, triangle. So how many triangles? 4 triangles. Prisms are always made up of rectangles with 2 different ends. Pyramids are always made up of triangles with a different base. Look at all my pyramids I have here. What do they all have on the sides? Triangles. Triangles. Okay? Okay, your homework is going to be out of a packet. Okay, it's going to be out of a packet. It's not out of your book, but I want you to use your notes because it's the same things. The book is just, I feel like, kind of easy. Okay, so we're going to do this to kind of push ourselves.